my name's Alohomora with Nerdcore Performance, where we empower active geeks, gamers, and cosplayers to be geeking strong. And welcome to my Longboi farm video. Here I take you through the specific ways that I personally have farmed for my Brutosaur mount with no multi-boxing and no auction house camping. Not saying that's bad, it's just not my thing. I didn't have the confidence to try to raise enough money to support other WoW accounts at the same time as trying to get the Brutosaur gold, so I did not multi-box, but I do support multi-boxers. Anyway, I was also lazy and I didn't feel like working out how to actually multi-box, so I just like, well, you know what, one, two, and it is. Also, as of note, I have a very short attention span, so all the farms I did were like less than an hour. 30 minutes to an hour because I just can't. So if you're able to marathon long, like gold making farms, leatherworking, whatever it is, you're in a much better position than I was. So to see more of me farming and gold making stuff, check out my Twitch channel, which is linked down below. So I try to stream a couple days a week, doing that sort of stuff. Also, sometimes doing fitnessy things like that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, sorry if this video jumps around a little bit. It's hard to stick to one category at a time when all of them just super overlap, but without further ado, let's get to actually how I did this. Basically, I use 3 tunes with leatherworking, skinning, alchemy, herbalism, and mining and enchanting. I do also have a tune with tailoring that I sold a few bags on, but it's hardly worth mentioning for me since it is not how I made the gold. So I guess we'll just start with leatherworking. I mostly did Legion, Draenor, and BFA content. I went back to Legion, Broken Isles, and skinned the heck out of those sharp talons and then converted those to drums. Also in Legion leatherworking, I kept the toys that you can craft up on the auction house, which are the leather love seat, the flaming hoop, leather pet bed, and the leather pet leash. Oh my god, I have to burp. In addition, Legion legendaries still sell occasionally, so I crafted the Sentinel's Eternal Refuge, because the dungeons are super easy to raid, and the raid you can just LFR it. I only did the Vigilance perks once, because that one requires you to do to return to Karazhan, which I hate that place, because I get hopelessly lost. I even had to recruit my old guild manager to walk me through that when I accidentally did that one, so thanks, Ava! But yes, I did a lot of crafting of Legion legendaries. They still give the speed boost, so for a lot of people who are still gold farming and everything, it helps them go a little bit faster if you're not level 120 yet. On my server, they sold for about 50k when they might go for more on less busy servers, which isn't bad for 1 hour's worth of farming. Keep in mind you need about 8,000 nether shards and 65 bloods of Sargeras. If you blow through your overstock after Legion, that might be a limiting factor. I also went to Draenor, specifically Western Nagrand, where all those elite beasts are, and I skinned those, and I also turned those into drums, because old drums work just as well as new drums, so I made a shit ton of drums. For BFA, I did a lot of the Honorable Combatants leather and the Notorious Combatants armor up on the auction house. When I had the Expulsum to do it, I didn't ever farm Expulsum, just when I had it, I made those, kept them up on the auction house at all time. During the beginning of 8.3, I sold a lot of dredged leather. It's still high on my server. I mean, high, it's 5 to 10 gold. It used to be like 30. But you can still get a ton of dredged leather, and I like to farm those in Najatar over where the Snapdragons are. Sometimes you'll have to battle with other people there, but my favorite time to go there is when the world quest is up, where you have to kill the little floating manta ray thingies. I totally forgot the name of them. So I would just go in there and sneaky skin everything while they were all killing manta rays. And you also get a lot of rubbery flank doing this as well, which sells for a grip on the auction house still because of all the food. So the other place I like to go is the new Vial where the assault is, and kill those pretty blue wolves. They drop dredged leather also, but also bloodstained bone, and that still sells for a lot on the auction house too. Earlier this expansion, I went to Oldham and killed the hyenas. They also give dredged leather and questionable meat, but the price for the meat has fallen pretty rapidly, so it's no longer worth my time. The other place I did leather skinning was Mechagon, mostly for the bloodstained bone, over where Rust Feather was, because I would always camp that mount for Rust Feather. And while I was there, I would just kill all those cute little birds. The one that I did not do so much anymore was the Quill Rat farm in Dressfar, because it is just over-farmed. I could not even stand going there anymore. So, yeah. Also, I went to Pandaria, namely the Isle of Giants, for exotic leather. I did do some transmog stuff, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I'm still trying to complete all the leatherworking recipes for the Pandaria expansion, so I would just farm the heck out of those dinosaurs. But they do also drop those bones, and a lot of people farm those bones to get the pets and the mound. So, yep, they sell in the auction house. On my server, it's about 1 to 2 gold per bone, but in an hour, I can usually get about 2 to 4K bones, depending on how busy it is there. Not bad for double dipping in the leather. The next biggest thing I did was herbalism. Simply BFA herbalism, which was mostly anchor weed. I started early on when the herbs were worth a lot more, but of course those have definitely dropped in a lot of price now. But you can still farm anchor weed if you're bored and just have nothing to do but watch Netflix. Then I went over to Legion herbing, like mostly Dreamleaf and Starlight Rose, because those actually still sell for a lot on the auction house. If you're not rank 3 in those herbs, hopefully the RNG gods are nice to you and reward you with a rank 3 pretty quickly. But I hung out a lot in Legion and just herbed away, especially doing Darkheart Thicket as an alchemist or as a herbalist. You can get a lot of Dreamleaf in there. I also farmed Whiptail and Cinderbloom, both needed for Vial of the Sands and usually sell very well. So, speaking of Vial of the Sands, I switched gears and decided that I wanted RNG on top of RNG, so I decided to farm that recipe. There's a ton of guides on that already, so I'm not bothering with that here, but that took me about 2 weeks and about 25 canopic jars just to get the recipe. So much archaeology. But if you're not in a huge hurry, extra credit, save those 12-year hieroglyphics, the ones used to help you complete the project quicker. Because on my server, they sell for like 8 to 10,000 each. I made more money selling those than I have on Vial of the Sands. So they can move pretty slowly, but just keep relisting them because they will sell. I sold 30 of them at once and made like 250K. Anyway, so I farmed that. I've made about 7 or 8 Vial of the Sands, netting about 20,000 gold each on those. After the vendor necessities. But like I said, I made more of the profits selling the mats. So, speaking of Vial of the Sands mats, the most annoying part of, I think, the materials for that is the volatile earth, air, water, fire, mostly water and fire. Volatile life you get simply by herbing, and volatile earth you get when you mine, so you usually can get a pretty good amount of those. Volatile water and fire are more tedious, and the best place to farm those are in Twilight Highlands along the water, and then there's a burning patch of forest. Now, I strongly encourage you to get in a group to do these. It goes much, much faster. It took me a long time to get up the courage to invite people and search for groups because I'm a really shy, quiet little being. But once I got over it, the farm is 4 to 5 times quicker. And with that Brutosaur going away soon, time is money, friends! So, speaking of mining, mostly I made my mining farming old Syphilis for arcane crystals. These are rare minerals that come from nodes, but I actually had pretty good luck. I would get between 10 to 25 an hour, and they average about 400 to 500 gold on my server. They might go for more and sell better if you transmute them into Arcanite bars, but that of course depends on your server. The other thing that sells relatively well are Pyrium bars, which are used to make true gold, which is needed for, yep, you guessed it, the Vial of the Sands. Pyrium bars are on a transmute cooldown where you can only craft 3 per day, so a lot of alchemists who want to make more than 1 Vial of the Sands in a 12-day period will often buy these. These require Elementium bar and Volatile Earth. Both are in abundance in Oldham, so happy mining away. There are other great mines out there, and so many gold farmers do, but these are just the ones that I did. When I went to Legion, when I was herbalisming up there, I did the Fell Slate and the other one up there. I totally forgot what it's called, and I don't feel like looking for it. But I just basically mined every time I saw something, and it was quite profitable. So my recommendation is definitely having a druid who is an herbalist and a miner, so you can just knock out both of those at one time. Alright, as I mentioned before, I am a leather worker, and I made a lot of crafted transmog. So, transmog does not have a high sell rate, does not sell quickly, but it does actually sell if you just have a lot of patience for it. I would say probably $1 million to $1.5 million of my gold came from transmog sales, mostly crafted stuff. The highest selling stuff that I made for my leather worker are things that contain primals, which can be farmed up in the Burning Crusade Outland. And I will put links in the description below on the best videos there are to farming primals. Also, while I was doing raids, dungeons, and other farming, if I farmed up anything worth more than 1k on my server, I threw it up on the auction house using Trade Skill Master and a dedicated posting tune. I crafted anything in my inventory that was worth over 2k, and there's a lot up there. Currently have about 2 million gold worth of transmog on the auction house, which is about 160 items for me. I am lucky if I sell 0 things per day. Really, 2 things per day is a good day. And 5 to 7 things per week is a good week. But I mean, I sold things for 200k, 150k, you know, they sell occasionally. Just throw it up there every 12 hours. The auction house does not like cancel scans anymore, so don't cancel scan it. Just throw it up there every 12 hours, and just make sure you parry repost. Parry repost! Now, fishing! Hooray! I love fishing. It's the best way to just Netflix and forget about life. And fishing is the only time I actually did do quote-unquote dual boxing, and that's not really even the case. I do have 2 WoW accounts because I like to mount hunt, and having 2 accounts is just easy. So I'll just park my tunes next to each other and fish and just go from one screen to the other. I really only did this for the Dark Moon Fair, however. Yes, Dark Moon Fair fishing is profitable! Not only do the Dagger Maul sell for quite a bit, usually about 10 to 20 gold on my server, but their feast, the sugar-crusted fish feast, which you can buy from the vendor, sells for 200 to 300 gold as well. Helpful hint though, don't sell these when the Dark Moon Fair is actually up, because then they crash in price. But it's not only about the fish, but the Dark Moon Firewater, which you fish up from the crates. These elixirs give you faster gathering spells for 1 hour, which can be crucial in farming for mats. I always make sure I have one of those elixirs up when I'm doing anything having to do with leatherworking or skinning. I always keep one up. They also do sell for about 150 to 200 gold each. 250 gold each, if you just want to fish them up and sell them. The other fish I went for was Najatar fishing. The viper fish still sells for a ton, so you can sell them as raw materials, or you can put them in feasts. Also, speaking of Vial of the Sands mats, you have your albino cave fish from Deep Home. They're necessary ingredients for those, and you can either turn them into the deep stone oil I think it needs, but I found it more profitable to just sell the fish themselves. On to food! Speaking of fish, simple. Feasts still sell. I still have a bunch of sanguicells left, so I crafted sanguinated feasts until I was out. Also, the famine evaluator and snack table takes some mechagon farming for spare parts and crates, and Najatar for the viperfish, but for very little work, and the turnaround, in my opinion, is worth it. I wouldn't even bother with bountiful captain's feasts, not worth it in my time. But between that and the sugar-crusted fish feast from Dark Moon Fair, you can make a killing on those. This brings us to bees. Probably my most profitable farm to date, and I hate to say this is definitely alliance only, would be the cute as fuck bee mount that came out last year. Remember that jelly grind and how horrible it was? Well, so do other people, which is why they're just willing to pay decent money for someone else to do it. I still farm the jellies in my spare time, and I just use Group Finder to find the Honey Smasher and the Honeyback Harvester events, and then you get a little more jellies there too. Make sure you have the goggles, make sure you have the stirrups that keep you from being dismounted, and just farm away. That is probably one of the only farms I would do for more than an hour because it was just so easy and super profitable. Obviously, the jellies don't sell for as much now, but you can still make a good amount on them. Also, the chance to get Poppy, who is that really rare butterfly, and last time I checked, it was going for about 300k on the auction house. I was very lucky to get that pet early on, and I did sell it for about 120k when I got it, but now I just want it for myself, so I'm still searching for my Poppy. Last quick little things, raw gold farming. I still did weekly raids on multiple characters because I still do like to I still do like to hunt mounts. I mostly did Blackrock Foundry from Draenor, ICC, and Throne of Thunder. These can net about 2 to 4k gold per run, and there's lots of videos out on these, so I'm not gonna do that, but I will link some fun gold farming videos for raw gold runs below. I also did a lot of dungeons like Vortex Pinnacle for volatile airs and the Mount Chance. And then there's high gold making transmog dungeons like Skyreach. Now, if you don't feel like dealing with the auction house at all, and you don't want to run old raids or things like that, there's always the vendor shuffle. I mostly did this with shimmer scale strikers for my leatherworker. I got these out where the quill rats are in Drusvar because everyone's too busy killing the quill rats that no one's killing the shimmer scales down there. or whatever they're called. And I would just sell them back to the vendor. So I would craft the shimmer scales and sell them back to the vendor. But I also did one from Legions. I went back to that Sharp Talon farms, you know, where the culling of the Sharp Talons. I would go there and just kill them forever, and I would craft the Warhide shoulders and just sell them back to the vendor. I would usually make between 3 and 4K an hour to doing this one. Oh man, this video is way longer than I thought. But finally, my daily grind. So things I did every single day, rain or shine, no matter what. I did every emissary, and I did a lot of the gold world quests. Actually, mostly the gold world quests that just involved killing a dude and leaving because I have no patience and didn't want to do like the ones that actually required work. But when you get those emissaries, they can be 3 to about 4,500 gold, and if you do them on multiple tunes, that seriously adds up. In alchemy, if you have an alchemist, use your transmutes every day for anchor weed because there's, you know, a couple hundred gold right there. I went to Legion for fellhide and fellwort dailies, you know, skin the fellhide gargantuan and the fellworts. I transmuted exotic leather into magnificent leather for more transmogging and recipes, and then I transmuted the Purium bars every single day. And then every day I would just pick 1 or 2 of the farms that I did previously. Remember, short attention span, can't do them all every day. So I was basically doing 2 to 3 hours per day of farming. And I did have multiple tunes, but I do have one main, so I wouldn't really do this on a shit ton of characters. I would do it on one character. And, you know, it still took me about 6 months to get it, but you guys could get it faster. All right, and that is really it. So the TLDR of this is Skin Stuff, Cellular Mats, Legion and BFA Herbalism, Najatar, Dark Moon Fair Fishing, Vial of the Sands, volatile specifically, Tolvir Hieroglyphics from Archaeology, Mining Arcane Crystals and Legion Nodes, Make Feast, Farm Jellies in Stormsong Valley, Run Old Raids, do your dungeons, run your islands for Transmog, and do your war tables for all the cash. So yeah, that's basically it. I hope that helps you guys out some. I plan on making more videos on how I specifically did each of these farms, like leatherworking and things like that, in the future. But most of all, this is just a jack of all trades, how I got my Longboi mount. Again, I stream a few times a week, Tuesday, Thursdays generally, although that might change. So join me on Twitch for some farming fun. I also am working on some fun Twitch workout themes coming up, so I'll be working out on stream. So go ahead, give me a follow, and I will see you later. Happy farming!